Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be chatting with Julia Amory. She's the founder of the lifestyle brand India Amory, and Julia is the queen of tablescapes. Her company sells the most gorgeous Indian block print tablecloths and napkins and robes. So we're going to talk about what business has been like in quarantine, plus where she finds her inspiration and the restaurant she's most looking forward to going to once this is all over. So enjoy. Hello.
Hi. I'm just so happy to be here. I've never done one of these. I'm so awkward on camera.
They're kind of fun. It's sort of like having a phone call, but then you forget that a whole bunch of people are listening in.
Yes, totally. Well, hi to everybody who's listening.
Hello. So where are you quarantining? Where are you hunkered down?
Well, we went down to Palm Beach on March 9th because I was hosting a dinner with Tucker Nuck and Neely and Chloe and a bunch of other brands. And while we were down there, we had been anticipating being there for 4 days. And while we were down there, somebody flew into PBI with coronavirus and all hell broke loose down there. And we decided to just hunker down and stay. And my husband grew up there and we spent a lot of time there. So it was a very lovely place to be, but we finally made the pilgrimage back up north last week. So we're home in Southampton now, which is good.
Well, quite a journey. And how is it being back on the, well, I guess you were on the East Coast before, but how is it being back at home?
It's really nice being back at home. It's, this is always a really busy time of year in the Hamptons because everybody is doing everything that they can to get ready for the season and doing stuff to the house and the lawn and yada, yada. So we're trying to keep busy with all of the house projects that we can keep busy with. And we're just happy to be back and I don't know, it's Twilight Zone everywhere, but
I know.
we're happy to be here.
I agree with you. Well, I love the brand you've built over the past couple of years, your Indian block print company. And I'm so inspired by not only the textiles, but also your story, how you started in a completely different industry in finance and made the transition to running your own business. Is that something that you'd always dreamed of doing?
I wouldn't say that my goal was to run my own business. It was more that I have always been very creative and artistic, and I painted my entire life. And for reasons of practicality, I ended up in finance after college, and I worked in equity sales, and then I moved over into capital markets. And what you do, for those who aren't familiar with capital markets, when you're in capital markets, is you go around and you pitch to small companies, not like India Amory, small meaning that they're raising hundreds of millions of dollars to go public. But in the process of doing that, you learn so much about how these companies are built and what bankers look at when they're evaluating these companies, and what the different functionality of various C-level management is. And it really gave me such an understanding of the important things to remember when starting a business and how lean you need to be, and just how much work and devotion and love is integral to making these companies a success. So it planted the seed for me that it was something that I could eventually do. That being said, I didn't incubate an idea for years and years and years. I basically burned out in finance and said, I was flying to California once a week for 48 hours to work in drafting sessions. And there was an inflection point where I said, this isn't what I want to do with my life. And so I actually left my job, took a pause. I started planning my wedding. I so enjoyed reconnecting with doing something creative. And it was at a time where I wasn't even on Instagram. Like, I was not plugged into any of these outlets that I now rely on so much. And it basically, I can segue quickly into how the company was founded, but I wanted to use printed tablecloths at the wedding. And when I started doing initial recon into using quadrille fabric or, anybody fa. I realized I was going to spend $20,000 on tablecloths, and I just thought that's not doable. So I started researching ulterior options that would be a little bit less expensive, and block print fabric came up as being, $7, $8 a yard, incredibly affordable, but it just had a look that wasn't, for lack of a better word, it was sort of world market. It was not the aesthetic I was going for. And I reached out on a whim to one of the people that's still one of my primary suppliers. And he said, listen, I said, can you send me some blue and white options? I'm now so sick of blue and white, I never want to see it again. But he said, yeah, sure, I can send you whatever, but I can also, if you want to send me an illustration, I'm happy to do whatever you want. And that's how we came up with the first print. And the tablecloths so exceeded my expectations. They were so beautiful that after the wedding, we were on our honeymoon, and I thought, what the F am I going to do with the rest of my life? I've gone from working like a dog for a big bank to planning this wedding to now having no clue what I'm going to do. And that's when I thought, well, let's experiment. And so we came up with 6 other prints, and that was in October. And by March, the website was up, and that was 4 years ago.
So really though, but you laid the groundwork for being able to run your own company by having this background in finance. So it's like partnering sort of two things that you love. I mean, you're able to run a business, but also you bring the creative element into it.
Totally. I mean, at the end of the day, I see so many small businesses starting, especially in this day and age where a business is the new Birkin.
Yeah.
Where people think that they have to spend $20,000 on website design, and they think they have to hire a graphics person and a marketing person and a PR firm, and you don't need any of that. You can hire somebody to do your website or do it yourself. You use Shopify, you use Instagram, stick to direct to consumer, don't give a wholesaler the cut, and just grind. And it's incredible how much success you can have eliminating all of those. And I don't mean to bash PR. Everybody, it's a wonderful thing, and you will probably grow a lot faster if you want to spend $5,000 a month on PR. But my ethos was always, why give away that product when I can market it and sell it? Yeah, and actually get consumers to pay for it versus gifting it to editors who are going to, and sorry to any editors who are on here, but gifting it to editors who are going to run it after it's already sold out.
I have to say, I went to India actually a few years ago and was just like, I fell in love with the place, the people, the colors, the food, the textiles. I mean, everything about it just like completely took over me. And this is way before I knew about you or your company, but I ended up, I'm going to show you a picture. I got
oh my God, yeah,
robes. This is 3 years ago for my bridesmaids. And I just thought, what a special kind of thing to do for them.
Totally.
And unique, and they're all pretty, and they're all different. So I sort of I connect with you in that way of loving textiles and different textures. What has been the most challenging part of running your business right now in quarantine?
Totally. Well, the most challenging, this has been an issue that we've been facing since January, or dealing with in different capacities, because we are in the process of launching a lot of new products, including a line of plates, which we're manufacturing in China. So this was on our radar in January. That being said, the scale was not something that we were prepared for. So I always say that this has become a little bit like a game of whack-a-mole. China is now open, so we're back in production in China. However, India has had an extremely draconian lockdown that keeps getting extended. So we've got one factory in India that's operational. We've got one that's not. One is shipping. One is not there yet. And then we're working on a line of children's clothes that we've printed all of the fabric in India. It's going to Colombia for manufacturing. And India, I'm trying to remember it all feels like a fog, but I think our fabric was ready to ship out of India, at which point Colombia said we can't receive it.
No.
And so anyway, that supply chain, long story short, supply chain has been a shit show. We have really loyal customers, and I have been so blown away and touched and thankful for the fact that people are willing to wait for anything right now. And we've never launched. Sometimes we do pre-orders because it is a handmade product and it's slow, and there'll be prints that have sold out in the past, and we know that people want them and are excited about them. So we'll produce a limited quantity and then we'll make it available for pre-order so that people can buy it and then wait for it. But we've never introduced new prints this way in the past. We always style a new print
Right.
Before we make it available for sale. And every new print that we've made available in the past couple of weeks, literally based on a thumbnail, has entirely sold out. So
Well, that's a testament to brand
awesome.
loyalty and how much people love your product and what you're doing.
No, totally. It's incredible.
And I read something sweet on your Instagram account, because it's obviously a difficult time. You said that your grandfather once said to you, just figure it out if you're going through a hard time.
Oh,
and that's
totally.
what you're doing.
You just got to roll with the punches. There's no crying over spilled milk.
And you have a new babe, Honor.
I do. Yeah.
She's such, I think I have a little picture of her to put up. This little nugget. I just pulled that from your Instagram account.
Yeah.
She's actually, I saw this picture, and she's like my current mood at the moment. This is how I feel.
Yes. She's the best.
How has it been sort of juggling working from home and then also having this little one?
It has been something that I'm figuring out, and it's hard. I mean, I think that for me, I feel actually it's interesting when I talk to friends who are still in corporate roles and talk about the fact that they suddenly can't delineate between home time and work time, and they're working so much more. And well, I worked 24/7 when I worked in banking, and I work 24/7 now because I eat what I kill. If I don't put those hours in to my business daily, I see a palpable difference. So the biggest challenge that I face is sort of agnostic of quarantine. It's just learning to pause on work and make home time separate from work time. And I'm figuring it out. I don't have the answer to that because
just compartmentalizing and just focusing on whatever you
can.
And
there's none of that. Luckily, I have a husband who's incredibly helpful, and I would be totally lying if I said that I was doing everything when it came to my kid. It's just not true. I have a wonderful support team around me. We have a great nanny. My parents help. My husband helps, and we figure it out.
It takes a village, right? So the same.
It takes a village.
Totally. Do you find yourself trying to do things in the morning to keep some sense of routine, like whether or not that's, I don't know, getting out of a bathrobe or putting on a proper outfit or putting on makeup or whatever it may be to sort of feel like a whole person?
My routine honestly hasn't changed all that much because I work from home every day. Yeah. And, the other thing is that because I am so much a part of my brand and I am forward facing and I share a lot of my daughter and my life and my home, we've had a fair amount of continuity when it comes to that. So it isn't that it hasn't changed that much for us.
I think one of the things that I love so much about your company is that it just allows people to set a table, like a beautiful table, and you can elevate something that's so simple, like having dinner, but you can celebrate it in a way where just by putting down a tablecloth and a nice napkin, it brings sort of like an elegance to something that's just routine. And I think with everybody at home now, literally every night for dinner, people need a little bit of like beauty around them, and your product gives people that. Totally.
I mean, listen, I'm the kind of person that, just like everybody else, there are nights where we're eating pizza, but I'd rather eat pizza on a pretty plate with a beautiful napkin than out of the box. I mean, it's a low price point. It's bright colors. If you don't want to iron it, screw it. Don't iron it. Who cares?
I'm just going to put
I'm very much of the ethos that fresh flowers and a pretty table and some nice candles and little things will make such a big difference in your daily routine.
I totally agree. I'm putting some patterns up right now. Are there any rules when it comes to mixing patterns?
Honestly, I usually the things that you would think would be the ugliest are the things that look the coolest. So when people ask if I can do tutorials, mix things up and so forth, it's hard because I think it's just you've got to let go and you've got to just play and grab weird things from around your house that might work. I put shells on the table. I put antlers on the table. I put whatever looks good in the produce aisle on the table. So loosen up and do you. Get weird. That's my best advice.
Where do you find inspiration?
That's a good question. I grew up in the world of sort of lifestyle marketing before it was maybe a thing that was familiar to everyone. My grandmother is a woman named Alexandra Stoddard, and she's written, I think, 35 books. That's not an exaggeration, on living a beautiful life and all of this stuff. And, she was somebody that would say to me, I find joy in painting the inside of my kitchen cabinets chartreuse. This was real life for us. And it's very much in my blood. So I find inspiration. I say mostly color is what gets me going. I'll see a painting or a photograph or an article of clothing and I'll think, okay, I got to have a pink moment today. I think that's where I mostly draw my inspiration. I try very much to maintain some level of integrity in my own weird, eclectic style and not do too much of what you see on Instagram.
Well, I think not only do people love your brand, but they also find you to be so chic and elegant. So switching gears just a little bit, where do you find, or who are your fashion role models?
Well, the funny thing is that I feel like I have two speeds. I'm either really, really dressed up or I'm wearing what I'm wearing right now, which is a white sweater and white jeans.
Yes,
It's
very cute.
well, thank you. But I always say, I think Carolyn Bessette at the beach is what we're going for. You gotta, which is funny because I really am pretty extra when it comes to tables and interior design, and there's not a lot of minimalism going on, but I really do take a more minimalistic approach to dressing when I'm at home. All the jewelry that I wear is stuff that I wear every single day. That doesn't change. I don't wear that much black unless I'm in New York. I wear a lot of black in New York. I wear a lot of white, a lot of neutrals, a lot of Uniqlo white t-shirts, which I talk about a lot.
Well, they just go with everything, so you don't have to
go with
worry
everything.
about.
They're really flattering, and I think it's really important to find things that flatter your figure and your shape. That is the primary thing. I will never wear something that doesn't look best on my figure.
Sure. I think that's
And Lauren Santo Domingo actually gave very good advice recently in some article where she said that all of your clothes, and I'm a huge fan of having everything tailored. I get everything tailored. And she had read somewhere that all of your clothes should hit at the thinnest points of your body. So your shirt sleeves should hit at the thinnest point of your wrist. Your pants should be cropped at the thinnest point of your ankle, nips at the waist. And it really does, things that are well proportioned and fit you properly and are tailored properly will make a world of difference. If you don't look good in one of these voluminous peasant dresses that everybody's wearing, don't wear it.
Sure. Or get a belt.
Yeah, get a belt. Belts are good.
What else was I going to ask you? Okay, so once quarantine is over, just a couple of fun questions.
Yeah.
What's the first place? Where are you going to go first? When you can travel?
The beach, like with my friends, not with just. I love my dogs, but we need human contact.
And then first restaurant.
Oh, that's tough because. Okay, out here, I honestly the restaurants are not my cup of tea. There's too many people. It's too much of a shit show. I will have friends over. That will be the first social thing that we do is we'll have a big dinner at home. In New York, I love Le Charlot. I love La Galou. Love Bill Bouquet. All the sort of old French restaurants that are around where we live.
I love those places on the Upper East in like the 60s. I go to Cafe Luxembourg on the Upper West, which is just like an old neighborhood place.
Famous, yeah.
Okay, this might be a tough question, so if it puts you on the spot, don't worry. But if you can invite 3 people to dinner.
Do they have to be alive?
Nope, anybody.
Okay. Totally cliche, but Grace Kelly.
Good one.
Because I want to skin her and wear her like last year's Versace. Okay, who else would we have? Marie Cassatt, because I'm a huge fan of her work. And who would the third one be? So we'd have something to look at.
It's something to think about. You can get back to me on that. Well, Julia, thank you so much. This has been a real treat chatting with you and hearing more about your story. And Mother's Day is on Sunday. Do you have any plans at home?
I actually sent my husband a recipe that Danielle Rollins posted for lemon curd pancakes and asked for those.
Well, post those on social so we can all see them and get the recipe.
I will.
Julia, thank you. Happy early Mother's Day, and really appreciate you chatting.
This was so fun. All right, thank you so much.
Instagram Live. Now you know how to do it.
I know. It's a little terrifying, but thank you so much. This was really fun.
You're welcome. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.